God bless you guys. I know I have said it throughout the years that I was gonna post, and it's been heavy to post my walk with God. The real uncut version, and we're gonna start from the most recent events. And it's hard because I don't like sharing these things, but God has kept me this far. He has kept my children, and I know He will continue to keep us. And me sharing and for you guys to be able to witness firsthand is only for His glory. So a couple months ago, I was in a housing program. I was living on my own with my children for about 2 years. The place that I was living in, definitely not livable. It was never kept up to date. It was never maintained. The residents did everything when it came to making sure that the building was clean, making sure that, you know, the snow was picked up and so forth, and putting down salt as well. Pretty run down. It looked nice and stuff, but it was pretty run down. I had terrible experiences. I had to move to another unit because the first unit, the roof kept leaking. And then when I moved out, it leaked so much that it caused 3 to 4 other units to become unlivable, and those families had to move out. This new unit, you know, just little like stuff, you know, like the tub never had a handle. The kitchen wasn't fully put together. I had problems with my window during the rain season because it would always flood. And so I went through a lot. I even had my apartment broken into. They stole my dining table, my chairs, some of my clothes, some of my food and condiments, which I thought was weird. And the landlord, obviously, I would mention it to him and so forth, and it was always, you know, pushed back. During my time living there, I had at least 3 different caseworkers within a span of 2 years. The last caseworker that I had was amazing. He pushed me a lot. He encouraged me a lot. He told me things straight up that I didn't want to hear, but I needed to hear. And he's the only caseworker that actually took action, who saw my living situation. My floors were even uneven due to a flooding that happened in the unit. And when they were cleaning it, I actually have pictures of it. There was mold. So I ended up getting sick and stuff, and a lot of things happened. But what finally came down to it, when everything happened back to back, there was a lot of things that were going on at the last position I had, last workplace I was in. It wasn't a great environment, and I prayed a lot, you know, for me to move, to find something better. And me being a single mother, I don't have a high school diploma. I got married at 17 with my ex-husband. I remember crying out to God throughout the years for a good job, a good 9-to-5 job. And this time around, the final decision was made for me to leave. And I was hoping for a lot of things to go differently, but everything happens for a reason when it comes to the Lord. I was jobless for almost a month. I was jobless for about 2 to 3 weeks. And I just remember like telling the Lord, like, I don't want any fast food overnight position. And I told him, I was like, I'm not going to apply for those positions. I'm only going to apply for an office position, obviously something entry level. I'm gonna trust that He will do the work. Coming towards almost a month of being unemployed, I ended up getting a position as a front office coordinator. And that itself is a whole different story and testimony, but God has kept me, as I said. When I started the new position, I was 2 weeks in my training. The girl that I was replacing was expecting, and she was moving as well. So within those 2 weeks, I made it a point I can't miss a day. Like, I need to learn everything as much as I can, because this is the first time I've ever had a position like this. I got notice that, you know, that what is that? They give you a notice here in the state of Maryland when you're late. Even if you're a day late, the landlord can try and take you to court. But mind you, I was always in communication with the landlord, so I thought that everything was good to go. I was never more than like 2 or 3 days late, but I always communicated that with him. And I remember seeing the paper on my door. Even my caseworker actually saw the paper on my door, and he's the one who told me, he knew I had just started a position, and he's the one who told me if I wanted him to advocate for me. So I took that as in, I don't need to go to court, and I'm usually pretty good at court. I haven't really had to go to court since like divorce and everything. So I thought everything was gonna be okay and so forth, but no, it wasn't. My caseworker was there, and he told me everything that happened. He told me that the landlord was stating that I didn't pay rent for over a year and was trying to put over $7,000 under my name, saying that I owed him over $7,000 worth of rent. And obviously, I don't owe him $7,000. I have proof for it. Come to find out that $7,000 was the portion that the county was supposed to pay but never paid, because he never sent the documents, which is, I think it's called a ledger, a monthly ledger, which he was supposed to do, for them to be able to give him the payment. But he was putting it under my name. Everything was under my name because obviously I'm the one living in the apartment. And he just started saying crazy stuff. Like, he mentioned how I had a cat and wasn't supposed to have a cat, but he's been in my unit. I even have text messages of him telling me how friendly my cat is. When that happened, I ended up being falsely evicted. And ever since then, my kids and I haven't had any stable home. And it's been like that for the past 6 and 7 months. I was really frustrated, and I knew that he evicted me because he was just being really petty. What led up to the eviction court date was the fact that there was a lot of county inspectors coming out to check the property, because again, a lot of the residents started calling. My caseworker was calling. A lot of complaints were being made, and so that's when the eviction notices started coming out and so forth, and court dates. But again, when I received that, I was like, I can't go, I can't miss a day. Like, I'm literally not even halfway done with training. I can't tell my new boss, hey, like, I need to go to court because I'm probably gonna get evicted, so I was like, no, I need to hold on to this job, because this job is, like, for me, was a way out financially. And so yeah, I didn't go. He made those claims. Obviously, since I wasn't there, the judge ruled it in his favor, so he put a judgment under my name. And then after that, come to find out that he was never even licensed. I don't know how long he wasn't licensed for. I think between a year to 3 years that he wasn't licensed. And during that whole time, the state of Maryland, Montgomery County, had been paying this man who was never licensed. And that's not even like the only property that he has. He has multiple properties. Even the inspectors knew that he wasn't licensed, and no one said anything. This didn't come to light until eviction notice was made official and so forth. And yeah, ever since then, it was really hard. A lot of things happened, in a way scarred my faith. The support that I thought that I would receive from the people that I reached out to was not what I expected. Obviously, as a believer, I'm all for prayer, but we're human. We all are positioned in the positions that we are in to be able to be a blessing and to help other people. And I'm not talking financially. What I'm saying is, if you have a brother or sister that are going through certain hardships, for example, human resources. If I had connections to human resources, if I was working underneath human resources and I had the connection to food banks or anything like that, and I know that there's a sister in need, I would give her those details, or I would, whatever it is. It doesn't have to always be money. People that I reached out to, only one of them, had personally reached out to me and asked me if I needed her to help me move my things out. And I just never responded because I know she's a single mother, the same as me, and just her position and everything that she is responsible for. I didn't want, to have to drag her into it. And so, yeah, I mean, ever since then, I fell off. I fell back into my addiction, and that's part of this journey and part of this testimony, is finally breaking free of addiction. And it's crazy because now I am 22 days sober, but on day 21, I went to a night service, an event, and I spent my 21 days of sober in the house of my Father, in the house of God. And I feel pretty confident. And honestly, anybody who tells you that you cannot get addicted to weed is lying. Anyone who tells you that, they just do it to do it is a liar. Weed is an addiction. It can become an addiction. It is a stronghold. And I started realizing, and I was thinking about this, that a lot of people as believers, like when you come to Christ, Christ becomes your first love. You finally open your eyes and you're able to see what true love is the moment that you feel his presence, the moment that you encounter it. And I never confronted my first love, which was weed. The first time I ever smoked weed was when I was 11 years old. And that was the first thing I was ever actually committed to. Any chance I got, if I had a bad day, if I needed to eat, if I wanted to be in a good mood, if I wanted to relax, all the excuses, all the above that you hear from everyone who smokes weed was there. But I didn't realize that weed was my first love until now. So this is a little bit of my journey, of my current journey. And if you want to follow along, you're more than welcome to. And I'm hoping to be able to let others know that you're not alone. If God can do it for me, if God is doing it for me, he can and he will do it for you.